All right, hello, and welcome. Happy Monday. We'll go ahead and get started here. Sorry we're running a little late here. I've just been a little busy. Again, we're going to talk about tonight with adrenal and thyroid, and again, how it pertains to your health and well being. Again, if you have any comments or questions or anything, make sure to comment in the tab there or in the section there so that we can either reach out to you or answer those questions. Again, my name is Dr. Chip, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of dive into my section here, and then Eddie will come up next, and then Dr. Mark will come up after that. How does the thyroid and adrenals pertain to what I'm doing or what I do? Or I'll give you just another kind of a brief little science here. So the thyroid and adrenals, again, if we're having proper nerve flow from the spine to the thyroid adrenals, then they have the efficient energy and communication from the brain to function properly. And again, that's very important because, again, if we're not getting proper nerve flow, then those vital organs can't function properly. But we also, again, not only want to get proper nerve flow to the thyroid and adrenals, but we want to get the brain to actually send the correct signals to the thyroid and adrenals via the nerves. And so again, if our brain is chaotic, if we're not able to think, or we just feel overwhelmed, then we're not going to be able to send the correct signals to those thyroid and adrenals. So again, when we are in a overdrive state, again, like our brain is on fire, you would say, we're in that fight or flight, that sympathetic overdrive mode, and that is causing a lot of distress in the brain, which again, that's signaling the body in a certain way. Now again, this fight or flight mode is not a bad thing, but if we get stuck in that fight or flight mode, then we are stimulating those different organs, especially the thyroid and adrenals, and we're overstimulating them and burning them out. An organism or anybody in chronic stress for too long is detrimental to their health. We want to make sure that we're sending the correct messages, especially in the environment that we're in. So if we're in a relaxed, calm environment, nothing to worry or panic about, but it feels like our body and our brain are just going on overdrive, that means that we're not balanced, that we're not sending correct signals to the rest of our organs. So when we are able to kind of sync up the brain and body, and we're able to have that good response, that we're actually signaling the appropriate responses to the environment, then we're able to maintain our health. Like I said, when we're able to balance out the brain and body, our brain's happy, our body's happy, and we're able to express health in a better way. So what are some good tips for you? This is just from me here. And again, Dr. Mark will explain more about that with the gut and food, and Eddie will talk about more of the mental and emotional aspect. But some good tips here. Breathing, not only being aware of how you're breathing throughout the day, but even practice breathing. Again, some good diaphragmatic breathing, slow and steady. It helps to bring that nervous system back into a good state towards balancing out everything. Walking is a very underrated exercise, but it's the most natural form of movement that we have, or that we do. And it's not only helpful for getting the body to move, getting the blood to flow better, the lymph to drain, just good circulation, but it also helps to get out of our head so much. And then thinking appropriately. So how does that affect us? Now, if you are aware of your thinking a lot, then you can see is that a lot of times is that when we're unconsciously thinking about something, then we start having that sympathetic overdrive go into a pretty fired up state there. So again, just being aware of how you're thinking and try to redirect your thinking into more of a positive outlook will help your body to function better. Again, healthy food, Dr. Mark will talk a little bit more about that. And then chiropractic. And again, it doesn't have to be chiropractic, but I know from experience and what I do is that it's a good way to balance out your brain and body. Now, again, there's different modalities out there, but I know that chiropractic is effective at that, and that everybody needs help at times. So again, we're always here to help, and we're always here to help you if you're ever needing that extra aid or that help there. I think that's it for me. We're gonna go ahead and move over to Coach Eddie, and again, this is gonna be more of a short and sweet because we ran a little late there. So thank you.
Alrighty, Coach Eddie here. I'm going to go over a little of the emotions. This one's a little personal to me just because emotions are just so much fun to actually look into. It's not supposed to be something to look at negative upon, because I always try to focus on the positive emotions and even the thoughts within ourselves. So we're looking at the adrenals and thyroid, but we're also going to look at it much more when it comes to the actual body. But first, I just want to get to what I talked about last week is the New Year's resolutions. And if you guys are, conquering your New Year's resolutions, you're doing very, very well. Absolutely keep it up. Congratulations. What's going to be happening here is you're actually conditioning the mind to be that person that's doing the resolution. For instance, if you're limiting sugar or you're trying to exercise more, keep it up. I mean, really keep it up. Your brain will actually wire together much, much quicker, much faster, and it will actually get you rolling in that resolution to making sure it stays in your life. And the best thing I always look at this is everyone knows how to write their name. Well, that actually happened over time. You had to scribble, you had to write the pen, you had to get in the right spot and everything. But over time, we can easily write our name. And that's what we can do with our New Year's resolutions. If we keep up with it and we constantly do it over and over again, those New Year's resolutions like going exercise or eat less sugar or anything down those lines, even do more optimistic things or be more help to the community. If you want to do one of those New Year's resolutions, keep up with it. If you let go and you stop doing it, well, that's the issue right there. For the people that actually get in the New Year's resolutions, they're the ones that did that tipping point, and it just comes naturally to them now. They can effortlessly do those things just like you can writing your name. So when we come to emotions, we're going to look at how these are affecting the adrenals as well as the thyroid. And the way that I want to look at this is I always bring it up, but really the body, all it is 30 to 50 trillion cells. And these cells are ready to go whatever signal you give it. So the big thing that they always look at, these cells, is the study of epigenetics. Epigenetics. So genetics is what's staying from the DNA level. You got a little code here. It could come from your parents or whatever. But that code can go and it'll be the foundation of every single cell in your body. Well, there's something that happens before that code, and it's actually the epigenetics, or the signal the cell gets to release or do an upregulated or a downregulated protein. So if we look at an emotional aspect of things, we can see that we have a lot of these emotions, a lot of these thoughts conditioned in our mind. And I always bring up the subconscious mind, but this is like a storage bank for everything that you've experienced in the past. And what's going on in this storage bank is going to be the foundation if you do an upregulation or a downregulation of proteins that you'll be producing for all those 30 to 50 trillion cells in your body. So when I look at this, we're looking at the emotions not only from the body itself, because your mind, the center for all the cells in your whole body, but as well as we're looking at these trillion cells, we're looking at the thyroid and adrenals from this standpoint. So if I'm stressed out, I'm anxious, depressed, or anything down those lines, I will be causing a downregulation or upregulation of proteins within the actual organ itself, or I could be producing more chemicals or hormones that are getting produced from these organs. So we can condition the mind. We can do a much more positive outlook. A lot of you guys are already doing it with your New Year's resolutions, which you're making it a habit with a lot of these things. But where we're looking at this is to find out how we can limit the stress in our lives. And if we limit the stress in our lives by also being more present in moments, but also much more happier, we won't be using these organs in a much more, or you could say, survival state or a sympathetic state. So just kind of keep that in mind, because what I like looking at this, I always like kind of giving you more of a personal kind of feel to here. So for instance, when I was a kid, I found myself in a state that I was comfortable, or that was just who I was, of being expressive, being someone that wants to, read out loud or do a public speak or something. Well, back in the day, I was comfortable being that nervous, shy kid that feared everything, that maybe that person out there might be judging me for who I was. So it really kind of turned and transferred my personality of who I was. And I got myself in this fear zone. I had a lack of confidence. I was finding excuses. Oh, the font was too small or whatever, these kind of things. But all that's the ego. But really it's this mind that's conditioned to fear more and more. And it's just trying to keep you safe. It's not anything wrong, not anything bad, but it's just what the mind is designed to do. And a lot of people are actually breaking out of their comfort zones. I like to say I'm one of those people, but a lot of these people are doing it all around the world. And the next state that we get to is learning from it, learning how a lot of this fear, what that actually did to us, to how we can learn. It might have created some challenges, but it's the ability to handle those challenges. And that's where resistance, or I guess you could say, what's that? Adaptability is also a really great one to look at, like how we can handle these challenges, these problems in our life. So we're learning, we're creating new skills, and we're expanding that comfort zone. We're telling fear, listen up. Like, let's get to more of a confident standpoint that we get ourselves out of this comfort zone, fear zone, and this can go for every single thing. But what I'm trying to tell you is the more that I got myself in this learning zone, in this growth zone, we're looking at more of finding purpose and finding our dreams in life, setting more goals and conquering objectives. But this is the part that me being fearful, anxious, anxiety, depressed, I'm scared, I'm in my fear zone, but I'm going to express going out farther, and I can see myself being much more calmer. I can see myself not being as depressed anymore. So the fact that our emotions can cause a lot of the stress in the body, but also the lifestyle itself. And if we really look into these emotions and thoughts of how we condition ourselves to think in such victimized state, and really express ourselves to grow, to create and find our own purpose in lives, we'll be very exponentially grateful for the society that we have these days. So let's think a little bit more positively. I try to get that mind up and rolling, so I believe that is up for me. So Dr. Mark is also going to talk about the adrenals and thyroid, and yeah, he's up next.
Great. Thanks, Coach Eddie. Okay, great. I know it's getting late. I'll try to get through this and not make it too technical. I'm going to talk more about, Dr. Chip talked about the neurologic help and control of the adrenals and thyroids. Coach A talked about the emotions, how they affect. I'm going to look at more the nutritional approach here. And this gives you a little look at the complexity of the norepinephrine, the adrenals, how they work, the adrenaline, another word for that, the serotonin, and then the dopamine. So the norepinephrine is 100% in the adrenals. Serotonin is 80% in the gut, 20% in the brain. So serotonin is a major hormone in the brain, but it's made mostly in the gut. So important, the brain-gut connection. And we won't go into that too much tonight, but a lot of information there. And then the dopamine in the brain. So again, a lot going on there with hormone balancing with the glands and then the brain itself and the gut. A lot of connection there. And you can look through some of these the emotions and things that end up if these are out of balance or if they're in balance. Let's see what the next slide is. So thyroid stress handling. So the big one that I want to look at here is that thyroid uses T4 and T3. So it's important to know the differences between these things when you do a thyroid exam, what T4 is, T3 is, and what TSH is. So that's normally you'll see the T4 and TSH. But anyway, the gland functions can decline from vitamin, mineral, and amino acid deficiency. So what that means is if you're not eating the right things and you're burning the candle at both ends, well then your glands can't work right, and you're going to have the problems that show up in the previous deal, a lot of the emotional anxiety and different things. And so we want, of course, in our work here at Natural Health, is give the body what it needs to handle all these things. So common symptoms: feeling sluggish, unable to regulate the body temperature, uniform weight gain, and depression are very common things that go along with thyroid problems. Let me see what the next slide is here. So I'm going to go back to this one. Yeah, I have a little cartoon on this page here. I just want to read it. And it says, I'm I'm cold, tired, swollen, and depressed, but the doctor said I had nothing to worry about because my TSH is normal. Yay. And he's jumping up for joy there. And the thing is, we see a lot and mostly women have problems with thyroid, and mostly men have problems with adrenals. It's kind of how it works. It doesn't have to be that way. But a lot of women, if they go in and the numbers are good for the doctor, but they're still having all these symptoms, they put it on Zoloft, they put it in antidepressants, all kind of other things. And that's not going to help the thyroid. And then pretty soon we have all kind of other problems. So just for people to know that there's a lot of things you can do to help the thyroid, and the thyroid has a lot to do with these brain chemicals. We saw that with the adrenals and the gut in the slide before there. How the serotonin and dopamine, which is some of the main hormones used in the brain, come from the gut, and again adrenal, and how that affects that too. So go on to the adrenals. The adrenals function to increase blood sugar with cortisol. Cortisol also aids in the metabolism of protein, fats, and carbohydrates. And of course, adrenals also produce your adrenaline, your epinephrine, or norepinephrine. All those are the same. And then also produce your natural corticosteroids, cortisol being one, but helps with just general inflammation in the body. So a lot of the symptoms there cannot tolerate stress because your adrenals are burnt out, so you don't have any ability to produce the hormones that handle stress. So you just can't handle it. You just can't do it. Sleepiness after meals, dizziness, sitting to standing. So that's a real important one that especially older adults get into. Is they when they stand up, they get real dizzy. Now, a lot of times they're on high blood pressure medication that complicates all that. So, but the adrenals get burnt out, and that's a real good indicator when you stand up and you get dizzy just from standing up. They can come from other things too, but that's a real common one. It counteracts insulin. So what goes on in most people in the United States, eat too much sugar, insulin's too high, the adrenals are burned out from all the stress, so then they develop all these metabolic stress problems, insulin resistance, diabetes, all that all goes from that problem. Stabilizes blood sugar. Of course, if your adrenals are burnt out, and we just talked about this, you don't stabilize the blood sugar, so you have too much going on there. Stimulates the glucose released by the liver. So again, that's to help you to have energy for the fight or flight, to keep the body rolling there under stress, which is important, like Dr. Chip talked about. These things are normal responses, but they become abnormal when you overuse these glands and don't support them nutritionally or emotionally or neurologically. Primary roles of cortisol, again, counteracts insulin, stabilizes blood sugar, supports healthy cardiovascular system, keeps the immune system in check. So that's important to keep you from having autoimmune disease. So again, you want to have a good immune system, but you don't want to be hyper, so when you have autoimmune disease. So the cortisol coming from the adrenals, if the adrenals are burnt out, that lends towards autoimmune disease. Aids in protein, fat, carbohydrate metabolism, stimulates the glucose released by the liver, and promotes mobilization of fatty acids from fat tissue, which is of course important if you want to lose weight. So if your adrenals are burnt out and you keep eating sugar and pasta and all that junk, well, you could just, you can exercise till you're blue in the face, and you'll have a hard time losing weight because the body can't get into those areas to get that out. So it's really important to learn and keep all these hormones balanced. So important there. Good. So we've got through that. That's probably enough for today. There was something else I wanted to talk about, but I forgot what it was. So one of the things too, we of course have this tonight on Facebook and Instagram. I want to make sure that you know that you can go to our website and sign up for our email, or give us your email address, and we can get the, is that on there? Yeah. Good, subscribe to email list, there it is right there. So Natural Health Quincy, and that way we can send you a lot of this information every day. We're at 2000 Jefferson Street in Quincy, Illinois. Again, if you have any questions or comments, you can put that in the comment sections there. We'll try to get back to you on that. And I think that's about it. There was something else, but oh well, we'll catch it on another one. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next Monday. Thanks. And don't forget to be healthy. Don't worry.